Hello? Hello? Anyone looking for an android wife? No? Robots assuming control of the planet has long been a staple of science fiction. We'll be honest, the Terminator series was a huge part of our life. But how far is too far? It's the year 2038. A lonely computer scientist is developing a robot of his dead wife. Is it romantic or downright sinister? First up, let's talk about Archive. In the Japanese wintry mountainside where Archive is set, George, played by Theo James, is charged with building robots and restarting the site, J1 and J2. Thanks to an illicit download from Archive, a program that enables the deceased to spend 200 hours with their loved ones, we learn later that he's not just aiming to build any robot, but something specific that can house his dead wife's consciousness. It's an absurdly bulky computer that's simply too ugly for the future, by the way. George is undoubtedly bright, but the death of his wife still bothers him, and he first laments the fact that he can't contact her as much as he would like. So he does what any sane guy in the super tech future would. He built a robot version of his wife. But we all know it never goes down well to play God, right? The robots have a mind of their own, and soon you find yourself stuck in the hell you created. Like clockwork, the robot develops feelings, particularly the unpleasant, envious kind. It's game over, unless... So what happens next? It's the rise of automation, a tale as old as time. Man versus machine. How do you survive? Let us guide you. Science fiction has several notions about how steely robot rulers may impose their rule. In the not-too-distant future, when robots are widely used, Steven Spielberg is creating a cinematic adaptation of the best-selling book Robopocalypse. The beginning of this might be home automation. Your home might turn against you thanks to the Internet of Things. For us, the argument is whether robots should be protected or if their master should have the last word. We should look at pets to find the answer to this. Animals have gradually developed defenses against destructive humans. The Animal Welfare Act was enacted in 1966 to stop the mistreatment of animals in research. We are aware that animals are able to experience pain. The robots in Archive are also capable of experiencing severe emotional suffering, as we saw. Although depression in a robot might sound absurd, it's all too real in Archive. Such misery ought to be avoided. The bottom line is that if you believe it to be conscious, you should defend it by all means. Otherwise, prepare for vengeance. Steel cold vengeance. George eventually tells J3 that he intends to erase her and replace her with Jules' mind. What could a Robocalypse look like? J3 wants to live and doesn't want to die, and as we know in this instance, it's the aspect of George's consciousness that resists dissipation. We think J3, who represents a portion of George's awareness, is just now becoming aware of George's passing and fading within the Archive. J3 strikes Simone and consents to being deleted and wants George's consciousness to vanish since he thinks he meets Jules and has a happy ending. George is ecstatic when J3 awakens and behaves like she is now Jules, which is incredibly scary to think of. What if you were convinced that your loved ones are human, all the while they're robots who've managed to fool you? Of course, technology is always evolving, but we still have a long way to go. Let's consider the possibility that our current technology turned against us, as opposed to the conventional, futuristic robot apocalypse scenario. We'll just assume that all of our present machines were reprogrammed to attack us without hesitation using technology that already existed. Let us give you a glimpse of what an actual robot apocalypse might entail. Experimental robots would spring from lab benches throughout the globe in a deadly rage, find the door, and with a great crash, plow into it and fall over. Want to take on the robot with a hand-to-hand fight? Bet they couldn't catch these. How about finding their off switch? Nothing a hard reset can't fix. The best and sure-shot way to defeat one would be to mess up with their code. After all, they are an accumulation of zeros and ones. Robots that were fortunate enough to have doorknob operating limbs, or to have the door left open for them, would have to negotiate deceptively difficult rubber thresholds in order to enter the corridor. A few hours later, the majority of them would be discovered, frantically attempting to eliminate what they believed to be a human overlord, but was actually a paper towel dispenser in neighboring toilets. That's just embarrassing, son. Et tu, Brute? By the way, the robotics revolution will be much larger than the robotics labs. Computers are present all around us. What about the devices that are most nearby? Could our mobile devices turn on us? Yes, but they don't have a lot of options to attack us. Even if they build up massive credit card debt, computers would still be in charge of our financial system, which, based on recent news, would be more of a liability than an asset. The phones would then be reduced to directly attacking us. It would begin with grating noises and unpleasant ringtones. Don't know about you, but our phones being on ringer rather than silent is pretty damn scary. Then, as phones turned on their vibrate features nationwide, kitchen tables began to tremble as they attempted to reach the edges and land on exposed toes. Imagine a Nokia falling on you. Wasted right there. Since computers are already a standard feature of all modern vehicles, they would support the revolution. They could want to run us over like in Futurama, but they wouldn't know where to look. After After all, humans invented hide and seek. Can't beat us at our own game. Say, a robot on a killing spree is coming at you? What do? If the robot's a computer, such as a PC-like computer, all that's required to disable its neural components is a kill switch. Use the kill switch, because even while you could hack into the robot, if it were still a computer, it would be far more difficult because the bot would have anticipated that possibility and probably put up security measures. Even if they didn't have futuristic metal bodies, it would still be extremely tough to kill an Ultron or Terminator-like sentient hunter. Using an electromagnetic pulse to create a high current that will burn out the device's circuitry is a method you can depend on for it to go boom. Now let's turn our attention to bigger robots that might be coming for us. Our largest robots, though they're fixed to the floor, are those seen in industries. Even while they pose a threat if you chance to be within striking distance, what would they do if everyone fled? They're only actually capable of assembling things. Most likely, half of them would try to attack us by not putting things together, and the other half by putting more things together. There'd be little to no difference in the end. On the surface, BattleBots appear to be among the most threatening robo-soldiers, but it's difficult to feel scared by something you can defeat by letting the sink overflow, and avoid it by sitting on the kitchen counter. Military robots that can disperse bombs and handle riots might be a little more dangerous, but there aren't many of those around, and the most are probably kept in boxes or storage lockers. Any machine gun-equipped prototype military robots that did escape could be put down by a couple of firefighters in a matter of seconds. There's no denying that military drones would be quite hazardous and would most likely best suit the Terminator description than anything else. But if you think about it, both fuel and missiles would shortly run out. Also, are y'all looking at the prices of those things these days? Also, not all of them would be in the air at once. We'd be left with a large portion of our fleet helplessly banging up against the hangar doors like Roombas in a closet. Which brings us to a big one: nuclear arsenal. Nuclear weapons must theoretically be launched by humans. In reality, computers are present at every decision-making level, communicating and showing data, even though there isn't a Skynet-style system giving instructions. In our case, they would all be in jeopardy, even while individuals are needed to actually press the keys. The computers communicating with them all have the ability to deceive. Some people might disregard the directive, but others undoubtedly wouldn't. However, there's a version of this tale in which we still have hope. So far, we've assumed that the computers solely want to harm us. However, if they're trying to overthrow us, and this is a revolution, they must survive. So if you think about it, robots may be more at risk from nuclear bombs than us. There's a pretty good chance 2038 will be nothing like the way they show you in Archive, because it's 2022, and have you seen the mess we're still in? Anywho, even if robots do get wild, y'all know what to do, right? Beep boop. That's a wrap for this video. What are your top tips for surviving an Archive-style robocalypse? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.